Good evening and welcome to the 1587th meeting of the Student Senate. It's the 14th meeting of the 46th session, which I now call to order. Notice that this meeting is being broadcast via Zoom and will be publicly available. Next, I will read the The University of Maine recognizes that it is located on Mark Island in the homeland of the Penobscot Nation, where issues of water and territorial rights and encroachment upon sacred sites are on. Penobscot homeland is connected to the other Wabanaki tribal nations, the Passamaquoddy, Maliseet, and Mi'kmaq, through kinship, alliances, and diplomacy. The university also recognizes that the Penobscot Nation and the other Wabanaki tribal nations are distinct, sovereign, legal, and political entities with their own powers of self-governance and self-determination. The clerk will now call.
Kyle Ricker. Vivian Underwood.
Here.
Cynthia Shalmerdine. Here. Ezekiel DeLorme.
Here.
Jonathan Lawrence. Nikki Bag. Jordan Thompson. Maggie Johnson. Catherine Allen. Here. Nathaniel Stanley. Samuel Brown.
Here.
Joshua Ball.
Here.
Juliana Joven. Here. Isabella Lamadrid. Here. Anna Kearns. Here. Matthew Weber.
Here.
Sky Van Beek.
Excuse.
Pastor Harvey. Here. Ridley Stewart. Here. Peyton Warren.
Here.
Tommy Chu.
Here.
Terry Martone.
Here.
Zachary Zillow.
Here.
Ethan Crowdy.
Here.
Hazel Sparks. Here. Calvin Bella.
Here.
Taylor Stanford.
Excuse.
Jeremy Collmore.
Excuse.
Egan Tripp.
Here.
Douglas Peterson.
Here.
Oliver Bois.
Here.
Dylan Lehman.
Here.
Amanda Levesque.
Excuse.
Elizabeth Oldfield. Debbie Downer. Here. David Vince. Here. Adam Mills.
Here.
Dylan DeMarchant.
Here.
Alice Savaya. Here. Jonathan Harper. Lauren Deepa. Dr. Roper.
Here.
John Guzman. Ashley Gedley. Here. Carter Gonzalez. Danny Tanaka.
Here.
I don't see words.
James will leave his sister in her place.
Okay. You're good.
I'm now looking for approval of the 4/29/2025 minutes and this agenda. Approve the 4/29/5 minutes. Second, that's the pleasure of the Senate, that's adopted. Any discussion on? Any debate? Seeing none, all those in favor? All opposed, all abstaining, seeing a clear majority, that passes. Next, we'll move on to general good and welfare. Any non-members may address the general student senate for non-public topics. Seeing none and seeing nothing for new senators, officer appointments and resignations, move on to club maintenance, and I'd like to invite the waste minimizers here for final release. Welcome. If you'll just tell us a bit about your club, how the past 7 weeks of the preliminary period have gone, and what you hope to do with in partnership with student government.
So Waste Minimizers has grown a lot. We've had 125 members on campus groups. And we've done around 18 to 20 workshops. Also working with other clubs and collaborating, like with the Trail House and Reed's Club, Backcountry Squatters. We have really grown the community, and we're hoping to do some volunteering work as well over the past couple of weeks. Over the next couple of weeks for the campus cleanout speak. So that could be an opportunity for clubs that haven't gotten volunteer hours or like sorority groups or something like that, Greek life that haven't gotten volunteer hours.
Great, thank you. Are there any questions for the speaker? Senator.
How can you guys be like, you mean, like specifically at the report, you just, I think, over the workshops?
So what we've been doing is meeting once a month. But I think that it'll become more like a bi-weekly, weekly thing next semester. But we've kind of just been doing the workshops every week, and then additionally, we'll have like officer dances as well.
Are there any other questions for the speaker? Seeing none, the committee's recommendation is 4-0-0. Senator Brown, I move to accept the recommendation. Second. And a second, if that's the pleasure of the Senate, that's adopted. Any discussion on? Any debate? Seeing none, all those in favor? All opposed? All abstaining? Seeing a clear majority, that. Thank you so much. You're welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting or head out, totally up to you. And next, we'll move on to our first guest speaker of the evening, and I'd like to invite Kelly Sparks, the Vice President of Finance and Administration and the Chief Business Officer of UMSG.
Good evening. Thank you, Vice President. I appreciate the opportunity to address the Senate. I come tonight to share some good news and some parting news on my behalf. I wanted to let you all know that the FFT, the Finance Facilities Technology Committee of the Board of Trustees, will be finalizing the budget for the University of Maine. We don't anticipate any changes, and that includes your request for a fees increase in the upcoming meeting in May. There will be potentially questions that happen at the Finance Facilities Technology Committee meeting tomorrow. We don't anticipate any concerns or questions associated with that. The university's budget is set up for good success going into this next year. For those of you who aren't aware, we've been working through the last 3 years a structural financial deficit of approximately $30 million. This year will come close to balancing. We'll continue to use $4.6 million in strategic reserves for the university, setting you up next year for a balanced budget as the university increase. There is financial uncertainty, and I think that you are probably aware, you feel the pressures of the changes that are happening at the federal level. There with the executive orders and information coming out of the current presidential administration. There is uncertainty for our budget, not just for research, but we have what's called the facilities and administrative overhead associated with all research grants and contracts that are federally administered. And those flow into our EMG budget, our education and general fund budget, our general budget, and they support the research infrastructure of the university. Given that uncertainty, if there's nothing specific at this point in time, that the changes may have to happen on the research side of the house over the next year. That's a greater potential impact on our graduate students, many of whom have their graduate student funding coming from those grant funds. So there's very much a student first perspective as we review and consider the potential outcomes and a goal to maintain our graduate students and to allow them to get through to their completion. And I just want you to know the administration is very, very aware, and that is a top priority as we consider we meet twice a week, actually, considering any concerns that are raised. On a secondary note, I want to just congratulate all of you who were inaugurated last week. Congratulations on your new roles. You have a pretty incredible and powerful faculty or student senate. And it's been a pleasure to work with President Vice President, to see many of you in the President's office regularly. It's been a joy to serve on the University of Maine. I will be stepping down at the end of June to go on to a new position that's a little bit closer to where my aging parents are. back on the West Coast. But I want you to know that I leave mixed, it's very sad for me. It's an incredible place. I have loved every minute of the time and to be able to serve on your behalf and do the work that I do. And it motivates me to get up in the morning. I get to leave the sparks here, so I'm also pretty, embarrassed her, but get to leave the sparks here, so the legacy continues, and I'm very proud of the accomplishments we've put in place with the additional shared governance, in particular with the presidential budget advisory committee and the presidential space advisory committee. Decided to have allocated $750,000 in a very open, transparent way, last year this year. And I think that's something one of the meetings things that I've done. So I believe that I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. I know it's your last meeting in on the agenda. So just want to say thank you for the opportunity provided to me.
Thank you so much. And are there any questions for our guest speaker?
Said you could announce it today. So do you mind letting everybody know where you'll be headed?
Yes, I'm going as the Vice Chancellor and Chief Financial Officer of the University of California, Berkeley.
No questions, but I just wanted to say thank you again for everything. I mean, the last few years of kind of really rebuilding the relationship with the administration has had a lot to do with you and your office, especially on the sides of finances, which can be very hard for students to kind of access and also meaningfully impact. You've made it really easy, so we will absolutely miss you, but we do appreciate it. So yeah, so I just wanted to leave
And
it
I
there.
made sure to build that into the transition plan, so hopefully by the end of this week, I'll need an interim CBO. The person has been identified as fantastic, very transparent, very open. I can really enjoy working with that person in the interim period, and I have very much built the importance of students into that.
That's great.
It's just, I mean, sorry, not to, but it really does just show a responsiveness that students, I don't want to say weren't used to before the last 2-3 years. But just the sparks and the smiles, I really think do say that all. So again, it's really meaningful that you've prioritized students in the way that you've had. And we'll continue to hold that expectation. So
Absolutely. Are there any other questions for the guest speaker? Well, seeing none, thank you so much for your time and your next opportunities. Incredible. I figured it would be.
Well, let me know when you're not in graduate school. There's no reference for any.
okay. All right, thank you.
And now I'd like to invite, please forgive me if I butcher this pronunciation, but Angela Felicia, the Director of Organizing.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for having us, allowing us to take a few minutes from your last meeting. We appreciate that. I am here with Bailey Lewis, who is one of our MSW interns. She's finishing her internship with us, one of many internships with us this year. So we just wanted to provide some information. Bailey has passed around some information about the counseling center. I'm ending my 3rd year here at the University of Maine, which is also my alma mater, so that's very nice. Worked really hard to dispel some myths about the counseling center. So we've also provided some myths and fact sheets about the counseling center. Really want folks to know and spread the word that counseling is free for undergraduate and graduate students. We never have a wait list, and our average time from first phone call to first appointment is 8 days. If you were to seek counseling in the community, you might wait 6 months. So it's really quite a good service. I think it speaks also to the importance the University of Maine puts on mental health and substance abuse counseling, in that it is offered free. So we don't bill insurance. So if you are on your parents' insurance, for example, they will not get an explanation of benefits. So it really is truly confidential.
No, I don't think so. The sessions are confidential. The limits of these confidentiality will be explained in your first meetings, with your therapist or counselor. I also handed out, a pamphlet for toolkits, where you can get free food, funding resources, legal aid such as lawyer Sean O'Mara. There's different like housing options and so on and so forth. Definitely keep that on you. It's a very valuable resource and give the resources to like your knowledge of it to other folks who may know. We also have case managers at the counseling center. If you would need any like specific more guidance on resources or assistance in any area of your life that your counselor may not be able to fully assist you.
We'd like any questions for dispelling myths?
Any questions or potential disparities?
I have a question. Do you remember a few years ago, it would have been, oh gosh, maybe 2 years ago, when we first had, I think it was our first meeting together, when we talked about the green bandana project.
Yes, I do remember this.
So I believe I've already connected you with our mental health chair, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
So I guess this is kind of a little bit of selfish, but I'm wondering how amenable you would be in kind of re-pursuing that idea through more of a University of Maine lens, and if you put any thought into sense, because I know it kind of got put out there and then things got busy, so.
Yeah, I would love that. Actually, one of the things that we would really like to do is look at a peer mentoring type program such as the Green Bandana. So any kind of collaboration we can do in that front would be fantastic. Yes. Resounding yes, please.
Are there any other
Questions for Bailey. I'm just curious, but if we had any other interactions with student government while you've been here. Wanted to let the Senate know a little bit about that.
I guess we could. When I was an undergrad in 2020, I joined student government as president of the Feminist Collective. And then from 2021 to 2023, I was vice president of student boards and student government. Student government was like a massive part of my undergraduate years, loved it here. And I'm just happy for all of y'all like doing this like amount of work you're doing, so beneficial to campus. But yes, it's kind of reminiscent being back in a speaker role this time. So, yeah.
It's that long ago, too.
I know, and you were like a freshman, you're so sweet, you know, yeah, leader on campus, yeah.
Any other questions for our speakers? I do have a question. Are we letting you piece and like?
Yeah.
Like, potential?
Yeah, for sure, keep them, spread them around, and you can always contact me too, bailey.lewis@maine.edu. I'm also the grad assistant at the Student Wellness Resource Center. I'm there 20 hours a week if y'all would need any more assistance or just collaboration opportunities, always be down to help. And thank you for letting us speak here, it's so awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I actually just remembered one question. This page looks like something that would be incredible to start doing the Instagram story or something like that. If there's like a copy of this.
Yes,
Would
we can
you mind
send
like forwarding it to us?
Yeah.
And then let this start.
Yeah. We would very much appreciate that. We're really trying to dispel this that just won't die.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much again.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for having us. Thank you.
And once again, you're more than welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting or head out, but like BP Smart said, we've had a pretty long agenda, so we wouldn't.
Have a good night.
Have a good next we'll move on to executive reports, starting with the president of UMSG.
Alrighty, so a few housekeeping things. First of all, I spent $116.70 for pizza with the provost, which actually I thought went very well. Attendance was less than I wanted it to be, but that seems to be the regular case. But the conversations were helpful, and I think it was actually really good to have a few of the provosts kind of interact with even just a few senators one-on-one. We had some pretty good discussions, especially about what is a pretty convoluted SRE process so far. There's a lot to come out of that, so I thought it was pretty successful. Next year, this is kind of just like another executive side of things, but I wanted to make it clear. I'll be transferring the oversight of the student entertainment division to Vice President Shelmerdine, as VPSC Lehman and I will be living together, and that feels like the responsible thing to do. So I wanted to report that to the Senate. As for old business, survey update, questions were finalized and the survey has been published. I asked Lori to help with distribution. She said she sent an email today and plans to send an email tomorrow. My email cannot be sent until Thursday. The launch date is Thursday. And that will go into the end of finals week, so I've extended it up until then. Honestly, if we're really thinking, I don't think a lot of people are gonna fill out surveys tomorrow, so maybe tomorrow is not the best day to blast some of the emails, so I don't entirely hate it. We'll be giving out 4 $100 gift cards, and seniors will be eligible. The way I'm just gonna bridge this is that once winners are chosen, I'll just ship it to them if they've graduated. Because why not? I don't think they'll gift card to your alma mater. Makes sense. Next, syllabus bank. I'm still working to get it on the agenda of the faculty senate for next year. In all honesty, this project did kind of fall to the wayside, and it's not entirely on us. At the beginning of this year, I did get it onto the agenda of the academic affairs committee as soon as I could, and that was mid-April, which didn't leave us with much wiggle room. And to be honest, I thought that the welcome or the launch would go a little bit smoother than it did, which is not on anybody's part. But that just means that we're going to have to kick the can a little bit. However, I will say that we are the closest we've ever been, which is something. And I'm recommitted to seeing this through before I leave because this has passed far too many hands, and I guess that's why I ran for another term. So we'll get it done. Moving into new business, cabinet, I moved it to 7:30 tomorrow on account of the May Day meal pack out. There's another world where we do almost an email cabinet where I set up the things and we do like a kind of like a virtual vote on it. But that'll depend on what kind of policies pass. Maybe we kind of peel that back out at the end of new business. But we'll revisit that, but tentatively 7:30 AM, we're gonna do it. We'll run through it as we always do. They're not too long. And then, yeah, this is the last Senate of the year. I want to thank you all for what has been truly an incredible year. Like I said, a few things did fall to the wayside, but a lot of things didn't. We've accomplished more than I think I've ever seen the Senate accomplish in a year. And I know I feel like I keep saying that every meeting, but it's true. We keep raising the bar. That's really awesome. Good luck to our seniors who won't be returning. We're moving on to bigger and better things. We're gonna be grad school here. It'll be exciting to stick around. Maybe you'll join GSG and we'll see you on that side. But if not, getting out of here. I hope that you have best of luck with everything you're doing, and make sure that if we can ever be of assistance to reach out. And with that, have a wonderful summer, and that's the end of my report.
Thank you. For my reports, training, I would say that on behalf of all the executives training for our next generation, I think it's been a really, really good success. I think it's been much easier for our student leaders next semester to really hit the ground running, which isn't something you have to do for the past couple of years, but thankfully, President are kind of ahead of that. The inauguration last week, I absolutely loved it, and I'd like to thank our FEP team doing such a great job putting it together, as well as all the other. And I don't have much else to report beyond that, but I guess kind of my own perspective or my own wisdom for the rest of this week and finals week. You're almost there. I know that like a lot of people are really tense and stressed out, and that's something that everybody is feeling. It's something that everybody feels every semester. But the fact that you keep getting through it is what makes you such great students and great leaders. So just hold on to that. As for the rest of this week, make sure that you're contributing to the campus in any way that you can, whether it be service projects or just continuing to be leaders, or contributing to all the great work that this university does. And if you do indulge in end of the year celebrations, please do so safely and responsibly, because the last thing that Keegan needs his no bid senators to come back for next year, so keep that. And that's even my report. Next is the VPN.
Hey y'all, so all of the funding request forms have been digitized and I just need to figure out how to turn them into the right form. That'll be really quickly. That's really for the report. You'll see that number is different on my report today, which is our rollover going from currently to next semester, which is at $244,135.31. With two returns on allocation from Hillel and pre-vet of $69.95 and 305.58. There's one transfer that's missing because it came last minute. But a transfer of $182.64 from professional classes to office equipment. And then I won't go through all of them since you'll hear them later, but through the consent agenda, there will be a total of about $3,085, primarily in office budgets. And then one resolution from the outing club of $1,158 in the report.
Thank you. Does anybody have a student board? Being on to student entertainment.
Hi everyone, firstly, I do want to reiterate that I will be reaching out to Blackbird Cinemas to help set up a meeting for discuss our future for our partnership for next year. This week, even though VP Bois isn't gonna go over it, one of the things that I requested was just in the consent agenda was some money for stress toys for the CSI sponsored called the final survival kits, which is Sunday 1 to 3, if I'm right. Perfect. So that's very helpful. So please pass the consent agenda. As President Tripp said, the survey is going to be going out soon. So please tell people to fill it out. That is absolutely crucial to especially student entertainment. Tell people to be critical but nice. Feedback is like the most important thing ever. So if they have like any complaints, please tell them not to call me like mean names, but to voice their complaints, because that is how we give students what they want and what they deserve, and if we know what they're complaining about. And then lastly, I just want to take this time to thank everybody for all that you've done this year, specifically SEC senators. This includes Senator Jolin, Senator Fang, Senator Weber, Senator DeLorme, Senator Kearns, Representative DeMerchant, Senator McLean, RIP. Your work and dedication to SEC this year has been nothing short of incredible and admirable. You helped make important decisions and dedicated numerous hours to helping provide students with great events. For this, you should all give yourselves a pat on the back. And then another huge shout out to DOC Downer. Your posters and updates throughout or through Instagram for events were the backbone of what we're able to accomplish. And for that, I think we should all give her a round of applause.
Thank you. Student leadership.
Hi, I'm still, actually, that's not true. I have an updated invoice from the yearbook company that I just sent over to Pam, so we should have that all sorted out, by the end of the day tomorrow. I should expect, and Vice President Peterson said he would like to use this executive plan to promote the representatives and execs who requested yearbooks, and I did the math earlier today, and this will total $347.75. And I'm including it now because this is the last meeting and I don't have a chance to give Vice President Peterson a number until now. That includes chats. Secondly, the weather is not looking great for our retreat plan on Sunday. So I'm just gonna do a little impromptu vote of how many of you are interested in switching to a rainy day plan, just bowling on Sunday afternoon instead of like the barbecue late day. It's rainy and overcast most of the day on Sunday. So the senators just kind of wanna raise their hand for switching to rainy day.
Same question. Can I ask a question? On the retreat.
Yes, it'll be at the same time. Yes, sure. We'll do, okay, I guess everyone will vote this time because it's open to everyone and not just senators. So if you would like to switch to the rainy day plan, which will stay at the same time, which is 12 to 3, although I don't know if we'll need to hold for 3 hours, so that might change. But it'll be on Sunday. The weather is overcast, like mid-50s, and like showers in the morning. So if you would like to switch to rainy day. All those in favor of switching to rainy day?
So.
And all those opposed? Okay. Alright, rainy day it is, I guess.
Great.
Alright, thanks, guys. And then it's. And then outside of retreat details, which I guess I'll have to re-sort out, but that's what I'm happy to do that. I'm finalizing training and alumni newsletters. And then I also realized from some of the feedback from evals, that a lot of what I do is not something very outward facing. So before I hand the position off to Senator Fay, I thought I'd provide Senate with a little more insight into what the entails. Outside of what you just see regularly. I mean, obviously some of the projects you guys are aware of, like the retreat each semester, the yearbook, the newsletters, but I also do a lot of work within the office that helps the wheels move from helping FEPC with elections and inauguration to helping DPFA walk with the annual budget this year. Certainly my work is quote unquote the face of leadership. My title is Vice President of Leadership, but much of that leadership, at least for me this year, has come through in the form of like office help and just being there to sort of navigate all the like small issues that come up as we move through the year. This position when I got into it had very little specificity, and through that I was able to find a sort of workflow that provided the supporting hand and the different tasks that came up with every project. And I also hope that I provided Senate and funds with like an approachable face for guidance. And so as you all head towards next year, if you're staying on Senate, I encourage you to remember that the big things that get done are really important, but so are all the small pieces that need to be in place for the large projects to work. Senators, I also encourage you to take advantage of the experience that Senator Thing will bring to my president for his leadership position. And all the work for, and I would also encourage you to work towards using the services will provide next year to be taking advantage of those professional development sessions or just going request if you need it. They can only help you develop further. And Senator Fang, I also encourage you to remember how important all little things will undoubtedly help you along the bar. And that is the end of my report.
And it's my turn to speak here.
And well, Dr. Lorick, a couple of things, like Vice President Lehman said, we'll have the final survival kits, that'll be Sunday 1 to 3 in the Oaks Room and Fuller Library. I'm gonna put a quick plug in for Hardy Maine Farewell, that's gonna be Saturday, May 10th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. We'll have photographers at the Welcome to the University of Maine sign on College Ave in Munson, over at the Black Bear statue at the end of the mall and on Poplar Steps. So that way, if you and your families want to come, somebody will be there to take a picture. We'll upload it to a shared drive later, so you'll be able to have those to post on social media or do what you want with them. The other part of that, we'll have some food trucks around. The bookstore will be running specials on UMaine gear, so if you want to get anything in before the end of the year, I encourage you to stop by. And then last but not least, we all know tomorrow it is, I call it Maine Day of Service. I'm sure you all just call it Maine Day. Weather looks good. If you're gonna go participate in normal activities, please be safe. We'll have a lot going on out on the mall. The Maine Day Meal Pack Out is 9 a.m. to about 12 p.m. or when they're done. We're gonna have the barbecue on the mall as well by Sodexo. That's gonna be 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. Then we're gonna have lawn games, a lot of different activities going on from 12 until 4:30. Fun news, we're gonna have 3 golf carts right here on campus that will have little water bottles, t-shirts, some sunscreen, some condoms, granola bars, and fentanyl test strips. We're gonna call that like the Maine Day prep cart. So anything you forget, if you're going off campus, come find us. Again, please be safe tomorrow. If that's not your forte, join us on the mall. We're gonna have a lot of fun. End of report.
Great, thank you so much. Are there any questions for the speakers? Senator.
Question for BPS Bell. If it comes Sunday and it's like really, really nice out, can we undo our vote and? Is that a mess? Like-
Oh, cause do you have to call vote and like say,
I guess here's my answer. If on Friday the weather is super nice, I will drop in the chat if we wanna switch. And if I think I can manage to get everything organized, that is what we will do. But if the weather is not nice enough by Friday for us to change, then we'll stay to one.
Senator Martin.
This is also a question for you people, Phil, which bowling alley will we hypothetically be going to around?
The family bowling lanes in Bangor, I believe they're like extensions.
Any other questions for speakers? Senator Thompson.
Question for VP Peterson, if I don't have the VPSO report, know something that the VPSO would share, can I just kind of informally?
Traditionally, no, but I do have something to share with you while Keegan's asking. Did you have a?
Yeah, it's just, okay, cool, let's just start clear transition. Alright, yeah. I just wanted to say, I was more so adding to my report and kind of building on what James said. I call it Maine Day, happy Maine Day, but make sure that you not only take care of yourself, but know that you have a responsibility to take care of each other and to keep each other from doing stupid things. So make sure that while you're looking out for yourself, you're also looking out for one another, because that can make all the difference, so. That's all I had.
Senator Thompson.
SOC is tomorrow, so if you're an SOC senator, we do still have SOC tomorrow.
Yeah, are there any other questions and speakers? Seeing none, we'll move into periodic reports, starting with faculty senate.
No report.
Maine Board of Trustees rep,
Oh, no report.
yes, FEPC.
So last week was an operation, in my opinion, it went very well. Really, really bad at estimating how many people were there, I would say maybe 70, I don't know. But it went really well, and I wanna thank, my committee for helping me, Senator Weber and BPSL, both deals really put a lot of work into it, and, definitely helped organize the weekend in time and lose strength. I could not have done it without them. This week, I have been a bit behind on the special election stuff. I've had a lot of personal things that I've been handling. And so I will get them out tomorrow. I'll get them notarized tomorrow, and hopefully next time Diana is able to be in the office, she can make a quick post about them on the Instagram. And then I just wanna congratulate everyone who's graduating, soon, and just a reminder to be safe in this next week. I work at the emergency department on Maine Day, and it's scary. So be safe, please, everyone. A lot happens, so just look out, there are medics everywhere, won't get in trouble. Please ask for help if you need it. And that doesn't go just for tomorrow. There's a lot of celebrations happening this weekend and into next week. So keep a lookout. Lori Sadelko sent out a lot of information that's very helpful. So look for that.
Thank you, student legal representative.
Hi, great. Last week, Sean and I had our final meeting. He's up to date on all his plan logs and paperwork. He's also been handling a significant organizational tasks around the office, including assembling a student legal services binder that contains important documents, information, and lessons that Sean learned during his years with UMSG. In addition to his office work, he's been drafting an updated human resources policy and brainstorming ways to classify clubs and events based on potential risks. The spring concert, the drag show, also went very well, and he was pleased with the turnout. In all case that anyone does find themselves in legal trouble or has questions during their festivities, we want to remind you that you have access to free legal services. End of report.
Thank you. Graduate Senate representative. No report. Cornell Council liaison.
Okay. The meeting yesterday's meeting started with the council honoring a
police department volunteer for 30 years. Kind of crazy, that's, I would not volunteer for a job for 30 years. Another award is handed out to Clerk Shelley Crosby for being the 2025 following standing out local election official. After the out accolades were handed out, the council meeting took a more serious tone. When a member of the legislative community detailed how his husband was assaulted by three inebriated young adults last Saturday evening. The council deliberated on different aspects of the incident, including current housing ordinances and the problem with current tenants. And a way to process similar problems in the future. While the accused party was not arrested, they were given a summons, which means that they'll be summoned before a judge shortly. Council then opened up the public comment section for a discussion about the West neighborhood incident. After a couple testimonies, the public comments quickly devolved into an unstructured conversation with the public and council and the town manager. The rest of the meeting was devoted to managerial, town management, anxiety reports and reporting.
Thank you. Old Town City comments,
No report. Military vet affairs.
Students be able to volunteer for the Veterans Who Stood Fire incident on May 23rd, which is the Friday before Memorial Day. It's at Riverside Cemetery in Orono. Time's gonna be 10 a.m. The flyers have been dispersed not only to the 20th Honor Society, but also the ROTC groups on campus. Old Town never got back to me, so they will not be included in this. However, I encourage anyone in the future who's interested in this position to look at that as a possibility. That it report.
Thank you. Communications.
So, this week I will be making a post reminding people to fill out the spring survey, as well as finishing up a year wrapped post on Instagram, and also a fun video that you should be seeing soon. I'm also working with UVac to create a short engaging video for both of our socials. And finally, I am slowly but surely catching up on all of the Senate videos that I was unable to upload to YouTube when we didn't have access to our account. But that should be done by the end of the week. And I just wanted to say that overall, I really enjoyed my time as DOC Downer, and I'm very grateful to have been given the opportunity to do this job. It's been a lot of fun.
Thank you so much. Technology.
Yep, so howdy y'all, or I guess my final howdy, but, so I've updated our website and replaced our about page with a new contact page, so, yeah, that looks pretty now. And by the end of this week, I hope to have a new alumni page, no, I will, I'll suffer, but I will. Which will feature a donation link to the UMSG fund that PPFA worked hard to create this year. It'll also feature President Trump's alumni newsletter, a lovely photo of our soon-to-be alumni, which we'll be taking later today, I believe. As well as ideally, some quotes from some of y'all who are graduating. And I get responses, so please respond. We'll see how that goes. But additionally, I'll be wrapping up training for the next year's DOT, and I think that's about it. But it's honestly been a great time working with all y'all. You know, when I first came here, like I was a very quiet guy. I don't know if any of you remember this, or yeah, I don't know. But that very first day when I introduced myself, I swear, like those 5 seconds of introducing myself felt like 5 minutes, and there's so much panic. But I've learned to love this organization, and I love working with all y'all. So thank you, and end of report.
Thank you. Security. And Center for Undergraduate Research.
Yesterday, I met with Kruger and we went over the survey that's on the Weber talk. There were mostly the same conclusions. The one action item that we were given for next year is to make sure that provost sends an email out as opposed to just us sending out emails to deans, just to let as a reminder that, you know, even though classes are sort of canceled on the day, that they should be encouraged, students should be encouraged to as report.
Thank you. Are there any questions from students? Seeing none, we'll move into reports of standing committees, starting with policy and procedure.
7 resolutions, I'm sorry, they should be non-controversial, we needed to get them done, so we're doing that. The report.
Thank you. Membership.
They, or yes, would be.
Oh, sorry. Today we had Oriental Jane, and we're.
Academic affairs.
Just wanted to encourage everyone to attend the meetings for the new potential provost candidates. The first was today at 2 p.m. The second will be tomorrow at 1 p.m. in Williams 120 or on Zoom. The provost shapes the academic vision for this university, and this is a chance to see what the potential candidates have in mind. Also, congratulations to all the graduating seniors, and take advantage of your career photographers and report.
Thank you. Services.
There'll be a meeting tomorrow.
Thank you. And political activism. Does anybody have that for? Seeing none, are there any questions for the speakers? Senator Burns.
I forgot, absolutely, that's allowed.
Yeah.
I'll just get up to speak more on this, but if you can, please hold up the Zoom back up, the honest folks would really appreciate it, and I know other people would too, so even if you could just work an hour, it'd be great. I'm gonna be there literally from open and close, so I would love to see anyone.
Thank you. Any other questions for the speakers? I do have a question for anyone who can answer it, mainly academic affairs. How did the provost form?
I wasn't able to make it today.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone, sorry.
I was kind of second for that. Okay. Any other questions to speak? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move into before final. Vice President Phil.
This is from the academic pictures. Is there any chance you could talk about them sending emails out notifying us all about this event a little sooner? They gave us like 2 days for some of them. I know a lot of us are really busy, so that's not.
I'm gonna feel that to keep him present, sure. Right. So these are things that I was specifically, so I've been on the provost hiring committee. And in all seriousness, in much because of the timeline that the university is under, things were kind of put together last minute. So I think they could have been probably put together better. But I think that part of the frustration was that, you know, especially when you're trying to do open forums, to do them on the busiest week for college students is just kind of really frustrating. But I will say that the candidates that I was vetting throughout the process, all were very, very great candidates. I was very impressed. And I do think that the pool that we're choosing from can only be a good thing. I did a lot of the interviews and had a lot of student facing questions, and we really got to the top of, or the ones that at the top all really stood out to me as student facing. But it is something I would like to work on for the future. Especially if we move into ever doing a Dean of Students. Not 100% sure what's gonna happen with that, but yes, unfortunately, the next one is tomorrow at 4. So you can imagine, it's not gonna give a lot of students.
Any other questions to speakers? Seeing none, we'll move into reports of special reviews, starting with student mental health.
The year is wrapping up nicely. This past weekend, we participated in the Title IX hosted block party for prevention, which went pretty well, given that it was downpouring outside. There wasn't a huge student turnout, but there was still a significant one. We are wrapping up plans, having final meetings with representatives from the counseling center and from Swell. So hopefully there will be a good foundation for the next person who takes over this committee if it's not myself. End of report.
Thank you. Food and dining affairs, so report, and undergraduate student symposium.
Yeah, like what was said by Senator Bone, we had the symposium debrief yesterday. They brought up their surveys that they personally took in along with what I had taken on the day. Got around the pretty same conclusions about that the event worked pretty well and that seems to be improving as the years go on, which is always a good thing. That did get brought up that we should go through the provost to get that out and to just sort to the deans, which I had done. That for take some position for next semester, we definitely do that. We'll have a policy for every special committee to be reinstated. So if you want to know a little more about why it should be reinstated, that's probably a good time to ask in your report.
Thank you. Are there any questions of speakers? Seeing none, we'll move into representative board reports, starting with keynotes.
Everyone, so in the last few weeks, there's some plans for like the distribution going forward. And myself and Mackenzie, along for President Vance, we decided to simply look for working with our advisor to set up this initial like what if plans just for going into next year. There have been people that have expressed interest in filling these positions, but they want to wait on it for the summer. So I elect myself to be as a sort of resource that they can ask questions over the summer, providing my personal contact, but I'm keeping it simple as that. So being a resource, not approaching them either way, but simply saying this is how things are run. It's time saying these are the expectations, that kind of thing, and leaving it as just that. Our club advisor will also be having a role in this as well to make sure that again this information to be shared with this into next year because basically means my leadership is graduating, and that certainly turns a lot of things very complicated very quickly. So I'm hoping very much so that these positions are going to be filled. But again, only time will tell. The future is very uncertain. So it will be an answer next year. Now I'm going to be talking about May Day in particular. I know it's already been redundantly said, but please be safe, especially for those who are able to drive. Use common sense, be smart. For those who are or not partaking in events related to May Day, especially those who will be driving on like to or from campus. There will be a lot of people walking around, and there are a lot of people that will be driving. So just keep your head on the swivel and make sure to be safe. And yeah, report.
The main debut conference is tomorrow and we're all there for them. Everyone is invited to come and help us. And we are also holding a final report session on Sunday, May 4th from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. in partnership with the Student Wellness Center and the Mental Health Committee. So please show up and show that. Thank you. End of my report.
Thank you. Interfraternity Council, does anybody have that report? Does anybody have the panel report? Seeing none, stack.
So there's some game results. The track and field got first at the Holy Cross on the bike. Baseball's turned around Simpson and beat NJIT 2 out of 3 times. And softball beat UMass Lowell. As for upcoming games, track and field has their games coming up this Saturday. Baseball has away games against Bryan and BC last week. Softball has games against Bryan this week. For some Sac-Pacific news, so SAC held the 3rd annual Main Event Awards and went swimmingly. A lot of people were honored. Also honored our seniors who are graduating. SAC is also helping with the Main Day meal pack out. Had a lot of athletes sign up for that. Their volunteership. I believe baseball just did it today. Because they have a game tomorrow, so they'll be good. But they did their part. So we'll definitely see athletics playing a big role in this. Center.
Thank you. And senior class council.
Good evening, everyone. I hope you all have been enjoying the spring weather, although it sounds like it's gonna be cold and rainy. However, perhaps more importantly, with spring weather comes a few things. Senior week, party Maine farewell, and UMaine's 2025 commencement. Yeah, definitely more important, in my opinion. But first up is senior week, which will consist of 3 events on Thursday, May 1st, through that Saturday, May 3rd. Senior week will start with a bonfire on the mall this Thursday from 7 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. There'll be s'mores, hot dogs, music, and yard games, totally free of charge. Second will be the senior bar crawl this Friday from 7 p.m. till 12:30 p.m. featuring Yamas, Bam Dog, Canoe, and O-Pop. And thanks to all of you, bus transportation, so safety is in mind. And unfortunately, this event's registration is now on a waiting list. We were actually able to increase the capacity after some talks with the bus company, but still there's very much significant interest in this. So unfortunately, we're not going to be able to serve everyone. We're going to serve as many needs. Still join the waiting list, even if you can't get registered. Finally, we'll wrap up Senior Week on Saturday, May 3rd, at Warren Brewing Company from 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. This will be a last time to get together and do some cap decorating. So if you want to decorate those caps, come out. Or if you don't want to decorate your caps, still come out, right? It'll be a good time. This will be kind of a good time to come together and celebrate our achievements. If you would like more details, social media and campus groups are the two best places to go. Additionally, reach out to me if you have any questions. Party Maine farewell, James already talked a little bit about this, will be Saturday, May 10th. Day before graduation, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Lots of fun activities, we've already talked a bit about that. Super excited for that, so invite your families, invite your friends, even you underclassmen, you're all welcome. This is really kind of a campus-wide event. I'm really excited to celebrate our seniors on campus, even though they'll be in an unconventional manner. And then finally, we'll wrap up with UMaine's 2025 commencement on Sunday, May 11th. Dun, dun, dun. Only 12 days, folks, only 12 days. So only 12 days till all you seniors graduate. Congratulations, and keep your heads down. You're gonna make it through the last, there's really no turning back to this.
Oh, no.
And we're good.
Thank you so much. Are there any questions for the speakers? Question, sure.
There's someone for SAC about leadership transitions. I don't know, maybe I totally blanked on that.
Oh yeah, leadership transitions as well. Yeah, so we're gonna be having like turnover in leadership. President's actually here right now.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
I mean, if you'd like to.
You wanna do an introduction?
Yeah, sure, you want to introduce yourself.
Hi, everybody, my name's Lauren, I'm the co-president of SAC. So Danny's obviously leaving, so I'm just sitting in on today's meeting to just like see how everything's going. I might take over or, we sent out our applications today, so we're waiting to hear back with those, so we should know by next week.
Awesome. Are there any other questions for the speakers? Seeing none, we'll move into the association report, starting with Sharon.
Hello, everyone. So last SAC meeting happening today. Elections are actually happening on that day too. So there will be a new SAC president this Thursday. With that, I mean, I'm proud of this organization and everything that we've accomplished so far. I mean, the reactivation process of this organization started here. Started at this table, so I'm glad it happened. And with that, I also have Shaq stickers. If anybody is interested in any Shaq stickers, I have them on hand. If you would like one, please approach me during or I'll place them around in here. Just want to pass around Shaq stickers, go ahead. And with that, and the report.
Thank you. Wildstein.
This Saturday, May 3rd, from 1 to 3 p.m. in the Cook Room is love for graduation. For anyone getting a rainbow cord who's not attending, pick up for that will be during finals week in the Rainbow Resource Center. And any individuals who've signed up for that already will be contacted via email with more details. I was originally gonna say this next part for special words and announcements, but everyone else is already being savvy in their report, so I'll just say this now. Duke Gov was fundamental to my growth as a human being these last couple of years, just matter of fact. I walked into the first meeting, just terrified to be there and to be probably like the face of Wildstein. And every single person who has ever been a part of a Senate has in some small or large way helped me grow past that. And now I feel so much more self-assured and confident and settled in a way I never did before. And it's let me do so many more things with my life than I thought I could. So thank you. And a report.
Thank you so much. And International Student Association.
I have the report. All right, so, this week, sorry, this week we're gonna be having our final, coffee hour. It's gonna be 4 p.m. at the North Pod. So I'm saying this because I really would like more people to come, and I know it's fun, but I know we're all busy, so that's fine. But we're gonna be doing a country feature for Iceland and Saudi Arabia. So come get some food. There's gonna be a lot of food, like last time. So yeah, great. Last week's coffee hour was a lot of fun. Except for me because I was cooking for near about 6 hours. So, but a lot of people enjoyed the food. We also had our officer elections. So our president was supposed to be coming in today, but he fell ill. Is Sharifullah Abed, dear friend of mine, and he's gonna be joining hopefully for sooner next year. Itsuki Matsuyama, Kuba Al-Nahari, and Sutsiria Yongtha Form. These are gonna be the new officers for next year, and they are very excited to be taking on the new task of leaders. Number four.
Thank you. Are there any questions for the speakers?
No, I was just saying, first of all, I very much appreciated your sentiment and hearing all of that. I would just also ask that you spit such to Riley for the thing that he's looking for. Because I think that's a big part of what we're trying to do here is, I feel like we can kind of get lost in the larger part that student government plays, which is education and is to build up leaders, not just about positions or titles. So very nice to hear, Tim. We wish you the best of luck.
Absolutely. Any other questions for the speakers? Seeing none, it is the pleasure of the Senate.
Diversion. Division.
So that's for when.
Diversion.
Are you doing like a suspension of?
No. If there's a division for all, if that's under the Senate, you have to vote.
Right, your body divisional, recess. What are you hoping you'll learn? Just skipping the recess?
I was just saying. You could discuss the vote A.
Yeah. Okay.
So we'll get to that point and then.
Okay, any discussion on the division? Senator Martone?
I was under the impression that during the 5 minute recess, we're gonna get senior photos done.
Right, and we're missing VPSO and others who are coming later, so we might do it post meeting. Would that be okay with everybody?
No.
You can't do it post meeting.
Yeah.
You have to leave soon.
Yes.
Well, then it sounds like you get first dibs, so we'll do it during the 5 minute, yeah.
Any other discussion with the machine?
I just want to put out the question of why we're debating with the 5 minute recess as well, given that it's 7 PM and got a lot of on. I don't know, I feel like the 5 minute
Just explain yourself.
recess is a little bit sacred in this place.
Otherwise, we start.
Any other points for discussion, see if your time?
Point of information, right now we're discussing the division, right?
Yeah, we're discussing and debating whether or not to, it's the pleasure of the Senate to go on planning. So.
Right, which means after this discussion, you go to a vote upon.
Whether
we go to the 5 minute, just to clarify what we're about. Okay.
Any debate?
Let's keep the 5 minute recess. Again, it's 7 PM. We through the reports and now we got all this and most of it's pretty straightforward, but still, it's 5 minutes. It's not gonna hurt anyone. It goes away like that, but it's refreshing for all of us.
Great. All those in favor of giving me your consent to enter a 5 minute recess? All those opposed? Yeah, all those abstain? Okay, seeing a clear majority that passes, we will reconvene at 7:14. We will now reconvene and consider the consent agenda. Now we're considering the consent agenda, EBC 61, 2, 3, 4, 5, 67 through 74. As the EPFA mentioned earlier, this all culminates to
$3,085.
Great. Senator Moore.
I move to accept the consent agenda.
Hearing a second, that's the pleasure of the Senate, that's adopted. Any discussion on? Anything? Seeing none, all those in favor? All opposed? All abstaining, seeing the clear majority, that passes. Seeing nothing in unfinished business, President Tripp.
All right, point of information, what we're gonna do is we're gonna do or what I would like to do, I guess it's up to the Senate, is to do 46S ABC for Maine outing clubs, so that we're not making them wait any longer. And then we'll see your photo, and then we'll come back and finish up student gov stuff. That way, we're not wasting any more time than we have. Sorry, Bets.
So moving into new business with 46S EBC 66, can act to allocate funds for the Maine outing club in the amount of $1,188. Do we have a speaker?
And Dr. Rosenberg, I'm the president of the Iowa Club, and this budget is just to fund our storage unit for the next year.
Any questions for our speaker? Senator Sparks.
It's going into set storage.
It's all of our club gear, it's all of our camping equipment, all of our hiking equipment.
Any other questions on speaker?
President Tripp. Can you talk a little bit about how you kind of built up the storage, like shelving and that all?
Yeah, so we just went to, I guess Home Depot, and we got like modular plastic shelving. And we organized everything through that. We have plans to build it out further in the next semester to make it more organized. But yeah, the storage unit's been great, and once we have the shelving, it's not a jumbled mess anymore. So now it's really clear on what we have and how to look at everything.
And then one storage unit is proven to be enough.
Yeah,
Great.
any other questions for the speaker? Seeing none, we'll take the first.
301 up pass.
I
move this other meeting recommendation there.
Here in a second, that's the pleasure of the Senate, that's adopted. Any discussion on the motion? Any debate on? Seeing none, all those in favor? All opposed? All abstaining? Seeing a clear majority, that passes. And if it's I'm now looking for a motion to suspend the rules to add senior photo to the new business. Senator Weber.
I make a motion to suspend the rules and add senior photo to the agenda.
Great. Hearing a second, that's so much for the Senate, that's adopted. Any discussion or debate? Vice President.
I would love it if we also had a last meeting of the gear photo, so if someone wants to amend it to include a photo of all of Senate.
That can be applied.
Yeah.
Any other points for discussion or debates? Senator Harvey, can we do the photo first?
Yeah.
Okay. All those in favor? All opposed? Standing, seeing a clear majority that passes. We are now considering a group photo for the next piece of new.
I don't have to.
Alright, moving on to 46S POL 75 and act to reestablish the mental health special committee.
Nope, never mind, my Zoom's not working, I can't. Cool.
So we'll just do from paper, everybody has a paper copy, everybody has a digital copy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which one was this again?
Did anyone speak on it? You don't have.
Same thing, mental health is a special committee, which means it has to be renewed again every year, or it gets killed. And Polypro discussed if we want to renew it, make it a standing committee, or let it be killed, and we decided to make it to keep it as a special committee and renew it for another year. That's about it, yeah.
Any questions?
What kind of tells the decision for is keeping it a special committee? What, I guess what I'm asking is what has it not proven?
I think that, Senator Cowan, as well as the committee, Senator Cowan has done a great job this year as chair of mental health. And has brought it from a place where the committee almost wasn't renewed last year. But my concern is that we have only seen a semester to a year of an actual successful committee. And it is a lot harder once a committee becomes a standing committee to, especially when you have to constantly prove itself to stay renewed, whereas a standing committee becomes a committee and can fall into where we have certain standing committees today that don't do as much as perhaps they were envisioned to be like.
Sorry. Any other questions? Please. Senator Sparks.
Also on that, this is more of a renewing it for another year and then reevaluating it then. It's not like we think it should permanently stay as a.
Yeah, so as Senator Sparks said, at any point, the committee chair, whoever it is next semester, whether it be Senator Cowan or someone else. Can come to whoever the polygon chair is and make it a standing committee, it does not have to be end of the year thing. It's just that at this current point. We did not feel like it demonstrated enough longevity, if, let's say, Senator Cowan wasn't chair anymore. To be a standing committee, but it can be made a standing committee at any point, does not have to be next May or next April.
Thank you. Any other questions from the speaker? Seeing none, what's the committee's recommendation?
402 off pass.
Senator Moore.
Transportation.
Hearing a second, that's the pleasure of the Senate, that's adopted. Any discussion on? Any debate on? Seeing none, all those in favor? All opposed, all abstaining, seeing a clear majority, that passes. Next is 46 SPOL 76, an act to reestablish food and dining affairs as a special.
Same thing, guys, special committees need to be renewed or made standing. Like we talked about, Senator St. Lawrence, do you have any comments on this? No, great, okay. Same thing, if the President Churchill.
I'm gonna ask the same question.
Yeah.
Are you gonna ask the same thing?
You're gonna ask the same question, why it wasn't made a standing committee?
I have an improvement.
I think that, at least my interpretation of it, and I think it's Senator St. Lawrence, if you disagree, please speak up. Is that the food and dining affairs should act as a liaison between student body and UMSG to Sodexo. Whereas when I was chair and Senator St. Lawrence now being chair, it's still working on building that relationship. I know like, oh crap, I'm saying this on record. I know that I've had issues sometimes getting in touch. I know Senator St. Lawrence had issues getting in touch, and I think that first we need to establish that relationship before we can have what is a liaison relationship.
Just a point of information, and it comes up, it's a little debate at this point of work, but special committees, when they're being put up, when they're being established or established. Special committees aren't meant to be looked at as side projects or just like the special committees. These are meant to be like the tip of the spear of delegation. And these are meant to be delegated to like pressing priority issues for the student body. And I feel like the people who established these three committees like to be understood that. So I think kind of looking at them as why aren't we making them a standing committee because they underperformed, I think is the wrong way to look at it. It's more of what more work is there to still be done for it to continue being as well. So yeah, these are delegations from like mental health and counseling center and cultural health and food and dining are delegations from the services committee, which are the ones that in charge of like those contacts and those reports. And then the extent policy committee you can take care of it. That's under academic affairs. But these were created to create a more pinpoint focus for initiatives in those spheres. So just bear that in mind. So keeping them special committees isn't keeping them as side projects, it's keeping them as very pinpoint delegations. And so any questions for the speaker? Anyone else?
Not really a question, but just to further on Senator Fink's point, I really wouldn't say food and dining wasn't a failure this semester, it's more just in work with me standing, I'd like there to be more direct communication, consistent communication with Sodexo, which I was working to try to build this semester, but unfortunately did not do too many meetings to conflicts. So that's my main point, special.
I was never calling these committees failures, that's, there was a miscommunication. Keeping them as special committees means that there's still work to be done and it's still an issue with campus, so that's a very infantile subject on this campus, which means that they're just. Okay, any other questions? Seeing none, we'll make a recommendation.
402 to pass.
Senator. Second, that's the pledge for the Senate, that's adopted. Any discussion on? President.
Want to questions related to this was for, I guess, same, or was this, okay, never mind, I was saying that, okay, good.
Any other points for discussion? Any points for debate?
I'm gonna put this out here now, so I do say it. I think it would have been myself and Senator Mishkin put this together now a year and a half ago. Oh my gosh. I would like to see this by the end of next year solidified as a standing committee. And I would like that to be a priority of whomever takes on the role moving forward, but I can see that at the end. But I do believe that this body should have a permanent food and dining affairs committee position, which will kind of launch just forever, because we split it off from services. It was originally under the services umbrella. Yes, I would like to see this within the next year. I'm not saying that now it needs to change. I think that you're right for now, but I would like to see that work done within the next year. And I know that that's me just kind of putting it, and I will obviously help with that, but just so it's said, in peace of mind.
Any other points for debate?
Simply to build off on that, highlighting the fact that there's been less meetings that have been happening between student government and Sodexo. That is essentially a failure on Sodexo's part, because they serve us, they provide our food, they provide services somewhat around 4,000 on campus, and we're already still having issues about allergens. We're still having issues about food access. Even like the relegation and issues of getting breakfast on campus. The Bears Bank being closed, Starbucks, having that sort of lock for the morning. There's a lot of issues that still have been not left unchecked, but there's still a lot of work to be done. So I think this should be something that we should be considering for creating this as a standing committee. So.
Any other one for debate? Seeing none, all those in favor? All opposed? All abstaining? Seeing a majority of those? In 46 SPOL 77, and have to reestablish the undergraduate students in public.
Third time's a charm, same thing. To steal what VP Peterson just said about what special committees are, this is something that was sort of broken off originally from the Cougar committee. But as the second whereas says, this committee is intended to focus more on the student presenter side of it, making sure that their opinions and needs are heard. And that is still an ongoing issue, so we are renewing them. Senator Weber, any comments?
Yeah, I was gonna say that when it was originally, the committee was originally created, it was because on the back of a disappointing year for many students, and this was a way to get it to like counteract that. And while that is gone, that problem is gone, that it has been successful. There's still work that at least I believe the committee can do, especially with more student outreach, because apparently there's been like a thing that was passed 16 where class isn't like was passed through here and through the faculty senate that class is not mandatory on the day that student symposium is, and that isn't known. So I think there's still outreach that can be done, especially through the committee. But the Cougar feels like it's more on the setting up and the actual Cougar side for getting defensive up and supposedly. So I think it's.
Are there any questions for the speakers? Dean, what's the committee's recommendation?
502 on the pass as amended.
I move to approve the committee's recommendation.
Second.
Here in a second, if that's the pleasure of the Senate, that's adopted. Any discussion on that motion? Senator Bone.
As was mentioned, this also was kind of formed as a way to get UMSG more involved, like manpower side and less involved financial side. Financial discussions, whether we fund or we would not fund it directly, and we made the decision that we would not. So we went towards more like manpower side of it and helping if it's not volunteering, on our side. So I feel like that was able to finally be kind of achieved this year after I tried last year. But there's so much more that I could do to kind of like lead the SharePoint and the student word and the student ideas getting to the Center for Research and there's next time.
Any other points for debate? Seeing none, all those in favor? Striking, all those in favor? All opposed? Abstaining, seeking a clear majority that passes. Next is 46 SPOL 78, an act to amend the standing rules of the UMaine General Student Senate to modernize executive evaluations.
Oh, yes. Sorry. Okay, in simple terms, right now, the standing rules just say that senators fill out executive evaluations. Representatives will be filling them out for a bit. This just puts that in the standing rules. The second thing is, that it writes what offices are being evaluated. This was actually written under, believe it or not, Memphis Peterson's polypro. And just not put in the standing rule, so I'm doing that now again, hopefully some. That's about it.
Any questions for speaker? Seeing none, what's the committee's recommendation?
501 off pass.
Second, hearing a second, that's the pleasure of the Senate, that's adopted. Any discussion on the motion? Any debate? Seeing none, all those in favor? All opposed? All abstaining, seeking clear majority, that passes. Next is 46 POL 79, an act to amend the UMSG governing docs to standardize the language surrounding the executives.
Again, super simple. Some of the documents say vice president for student entertainment, some of them say vice president of. This is for all the vice presidents. It's not standardized, also vice president of sounds better. So this just makes it so someone, probably me, goes through all the documents and changes them all to say vice president of.
Okay, any questions for the speaker? I do have a question, what documents would these?
Yeah, that's
Because I do know that one of the documents can't be changed without a constitutional referendum, so.
Which one is that?
If there's like any of the, I guess, awkward wording in the Constitution, that would need to go to referendum.
The Constitution is a constitutional amendment. That's what you're referring to?
But we cleaned that up with.
Correct, yes. So, one of the resolved, unless I forgot to write, no, I definitely did, yes. One of the whereas actually says that the Constitution was, all these were fixed in the Constitution when we put through that recent special election. When we updated the Constitution grammatically, we also changed all of those and put that to the student body. The Constitution is good. The rest of them are financial policies, SORP, standing rules, and hiring policies. And not FEPC for some reason, but yeah, those documents.
Any other questions for the speaker? Seeing none, what's the committee's recommendation?
402 on to pass.
Senator Member. I move to accept the committee's recommendation. Secretary, a second, if that's the pleasure of the Senate, that's adopted. Any discussion on? Any debate on? Seeing none, all those in favor? All opposed? All abstaining, seeing each majority, that passes. Is 46 of BOL 80, an act to amend the leadership scholarship guidelines to change the time.
Alright. Anymore, at least for a little bit. So this one I feel like is pretty straightforward. It's something we talked about last semester that I didn't forget about it. It just kind of fell to the back of my mind, the to-do list. But I would like to have it done for the incoming VPSL so that there's an opportunity for more applicants and that it's open to all the undergraduates. So basically what this does is currently the timeline for applying to the leadership scholarship that student government offers every year is the third Friday in October. Is when they have to be decided, which honestly, if you have ever been a student, which I know you have, getting things done in the first month and a half of school starting can be pretty hectic to begin with, as well as getting it open to a large number of students, advertising enough to get it to the rest of the student body in a couple weeks is just not really enough time. And then because there's also GPA requirement, a UMaine GPA requirement, it being in the first semester prohibits freshmen from being able to apply. And while traditionally it has been a scholarship focused on UMaine leadership, it doesn't necessarily have to be that way. I would honestly encourage the next PSL to maybe open up to leadership in general. I still think they should have the opportunity to apply because it is something we should be offering to the entire undergraduate body. So what this does is it moves the deadline to the 4th Friday in January. The scholarship is dispersed that same semester. It's always been dispersed spring semester, so we're not changing when they get the scholarship, we're just changing the date that the scholarship winners are decided. So that allows us almost the entire semester to advertise and get the word out that we're offering scholarships, as well as allow freshmen to apply because they will have a GPA that because they'll have attended the main first semester.
Great. Any questions for the speakers? Senator Ball.
So does this make a decision has to be made by January or the deadline for applications to be made by
The
January?
decision is made on January, by the 4th Friday in January.
Any other questions for the speakers? Senator Ball.
So freshmen wouldn't have their GPA for the semester until after the first semester is done. So you would have a whole selection process to take place over winter break.
Not over winter break, the first or second week back from winter break. It depends on the semester, which is why it's the last Friday in January, so that depending on what the schedule of the year looks like, there is still a week in January that decisions can be made. And traditionally, it was not traditionally done this way this semester because people were absent, so we didn't have access to all the applications. Traditionally, they are decided in one cabinet meeting, so it really just needs a week and one cabinet meeting to be decided.
Any other questions from the speakers? That's true.
Well, this in theory require then the VPSL to do a lot of the sorting through and setting up over winter break.
Not necessarily, I'm imagining by the end of the fall semester, that's when most applications will already be in. And if you wanted to, it's something you could close the application at the end of the fall semester and just not wait until the decision is made. So if you want to close it the week before fall semester ends, the VPSL will do most of the narrowing down that last week of the semester and have things ready at the beginning of the semester.
But if it was the end of the fall semester, wouldn't that then mean that freshmen would not have a GPA yet?
This decision won't be made. So when they are actually picked, they will have a GPA, and that's what matters.
Oh,
Right,
you
so
don't need to know the GPA before, oh.
when you're deciding, you don't know the GPA, except that when they apply, you assume they meet the requirement. You don't know their specific GPA. We don't need to know their specific GPA. They just have to have one.
So if a freshman was chosen, we would just kind of backtrack, check that their GPA qualifies, if not, we would move on.
Exactly.
Okay. Any other questions for the speakers? Seeing none, what's the committee's recommendation?
601 on to pass.
Second. Second, hearing a second, that's the pleasure of the Senate, that's adopted. Any discussion? Vice President Hopefield.
This is just a clarification. This is what I did this semester is when students are selected, they are preliminary reached out to with the two like requirements that they are enrolled for the next semester and that their GPA meets the requirement. So it's not unusual for them to be like selected and then we double check all of those things before confirming their selection. So it wouldn't be out of the ordinary. Like if a freshman were to be selected, that we do it the same way.
Any other points for discussion? Any points for debate? President Thurman.
I think it might be worth adding some sort of stipulation here that the deadline of the fourth Friday can be pushed back with a vote of the student leadership committee, just as an aside, just in case that things don't fall together. And we don't find ourselves in a weird policy thing that we're breaking again. Because if you kind of look at a lot of where policies have fallen to be a lot of the become the policies that we've cleaned up this year, it's a lot of those hard set deadlines that just end up kind of needing to shift. And having that stipulation would allow it to just never kind of be, what's the word, obsolete. So that would be my suggestion to the Senate. Clean, easy fix, and nothing that you overlook, more of just like a precaution. Right.
Any other points for debate? Senator Weber.
I'd like to make a motion to add, this deadline can be pushed back with a vote in the student leadership committee.
Great. Do I hear a second? Great, hearing a second, that's the pleasure of the Senate, that's adopted. Any discussion on the motion? Senator Sparks.
This may go through the leadership committee or go through the Senate.
SLC.
Yeah, SLC, or even at the discretion of the SL, if we wanted to, it would just make this, you know what I mean, it would just be a quick decision, it's not like that deadline becomes problematic. Because then that deadline would have to be reported to the Senate, and if it became a thing where the SL was just like not getting it done, that accountability mechanism would already be in play.
Any other points for?
Sorry, I know that we're policy in Senate, but sometimes you do.
Senator Fang.
If this amendment passes, could Senator Weber or President Tripp explain to me where they want this?
I'll sit down and do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So right now, the Senate is what, passing the concept of it, not the specific language?
Yeah, just to have the Senate decide whether it should be the SL committee or the SLBB. And then I'll write I'll write exactly what we're trying to get to.
Senator Sparks.
Who chooses? Who picks the leadership?
Cabinet.
Cabinet? Can we have cabinet?
What's your question?
Cabinet is the one who chooses the leadership board person, so could cabinet push it back?
Let's see why not.
Honestly, sure, that's a fun way to do it too. Always are good, yeah, whatever. I mean, not like whatever you think is best, that way it would be a lot more accountability, there would be elected senators and the SL would obviously be part of that too, so.
Not to add like more fluff onto this, but I think that's why the best direction to go with this is make it at the discretion of the vice president of student leadership. Because one, maybe they don't have a committee who else will choose, maybe they choose to do it through cabinet, maybe they choose to do it through their own committee of whoever they want that then delegates it to the cabinet, you can cover that by speaking to the discretion of the making a decision. So And if it is so discretionary, they can make that up to a vote and everything. But if they're abusing that, then that's where the senators come into play. Roseland, originally.
Gosh, sorry, this is also something that would be beneficial, is also having like some sort of like idea or simulation of just having. Having a second sort of cabinet meeting dedicated to it, because I know that it will be shortened out in 3 weeks. I think it still will like have the potential for having a large applicant pool. And if I know it's like not clearly coded, but it certainly has that feature of if we have an extension issue granted to have like to serve like the cabinet members to properly vet all the applicants for the scholarship. That's my 2 cents on that.
I'll just streamline that. I think you have the right idea, but it's already accounted in this and that it doesn't spell that out. I think that an extended deadline, cabinet has to do it anyway, and that's kind of just like part of the course. So just for the sake of time, I would just stick with deciding whether we want it to be the vice president or cabinet and then move forward. I know that this is like the thing that we always say we don't want to do in the front of the Senate, but sometimes you have to. And we're just kind of tweaking something that is important, so of course.
Are we in discussion or debate?
Debate on motion to enact stipulation, correct?
It currently reads at the discretion of the student leadership committee.
Right. I just didn't know if we were on discussion or debate. Okay, so for debate. Could we, I'm a little uneasy just having it run through only a singular person, so could we write in, it goes through the vice president as well, or president as well, or somebody else who would make sense, just double checking it?
I think that if you're concerned about one person, then you should do it through the cabinet.
Senator Bob.
I'm also in favor to the cabinet. I like having like every aspect, the execs, the reps, and senators are all in cabinet. They all have the same where it goes, and it's easy enough just to put it in. Like after the cabinet members, if there are deadlines coming up, we'll be like, okay, we can decide this now. So there's no time to take it. So my motion is that we vote no on this current amendment, and then get a new amendment that says let's change it now.
Great. Any new points for debate? Senator Thompson.
Question previous.
Hearing a second, if that's the pleasure of the secretary. Any discussion on the motion of previous? Any debate? Seeing none, all those in favor? All opposed? All abstaining? Yes, and then if this follows through, then we're voting on the amendment itself. Okay, all those in favor of previous? All opposing? All abstaining? Seeing a clear majority, that passes. Okay, all those in favor of Senator Robertson?
Which is putting it through SLC.
Yes. All opposed? All abstaining? Seeing a clear non-majority, that does not pass. We are now back in the points for debate on the Vice President Oldfield.
I'm not realizing next year there are 5 Fridays in January, so if someone wanted to amend not the 4th Friday in January, but the last Friday in January, that could be helpful, give you an extra week.
I would like to say that if someone's gonna make that amendment, they should also just say the cabinet thing in the same amendment, so you're not making us vote twice.
Yeah.
Is that a no?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Senator Weber.
I'd like to make a motion to change the wording to the last week in January, as well as make a motion to say it's at the discretion of cabinet to push it back to a later date.
Second. Hearing a second, that's the pleasure of the Senate, that's adopted. Any discussion on the amendment? Any debate on the amendment? Representative Hamilton?
This is a point that I actually wanted to report to President Trevor. Are the cabinet meetings recorded? And if not, are certain meetings that should be recorded before, if any senators are worried about balance of power, could be recorded so that the process that has happened can be written for the week. That make any sense? No, okay.
If meetings are not recorded, those are like another executive session.
Gotcha. They're exclusively executive sessions.
Any other points for debate on Senator Weber's amendments? Seeing none, all those in favor? All opposed? All abstaining? Seeing none, passes. We're now returning to the resolution as amended. Are there any points for debate? Seeing none, all those in favor? All opposed? All abstaining? Seeing a clear majority, that passes. And lastly, 46 says UML 81 and amend UMSG Inc.'s financial policies to allow UMSG to return funding from swim clubs back to unactive.
Hey y'all, so the current financial policies detail that we wait till the end of the fiscal year to basically pull back all the money that hasn't been spent by any group that we fund. However, in some cases, that money might not be touched at all throughout the year. For example, sailing club, which was deactivated or lost yeah, they lost why is it not? They lost recognition with us, the $2,500, which is their tier funding, stayed with them. But no one was there to use it. So there's a policy to be able to take money that's from those organizations who will no longer have capacity to use the money, we can return it now, redistributed to the clubs who are actively seeking that funding. And this would go for everyone, the community associations, rep boards, clubs, committees, yeah.
Are there any questions? Representative Bellion.
I'm assuming this is an issue, but in the hypothetical scenario where a club loses recognition and then regains enough financial recognition later down the line, there's not gonna be any, you check that there's no weird situation where it makes them unable to re-request those funds. That's clear. We're good.
Yeah. Based on the normal, they can always come back to EPC and just have it reallocated. But if they do fall out of recognition, it would make the it would give it the 7-week delay anyways. But yeah, they would always be able to do that.
Any other questions from seniors?
Just kind of building off that mentality, the only time that we would prevent somebody from coming back, if the ABC struck the line item, which isn't what this is more of like it falls back in, so it can fall back in.
Any other questions? I do have a question. What exactly would be like the, I guess, timeline or procedure for if this were to happen? Like, what would be the play-by-play for this? So, like, a club falls out of recognition, what does like the BPFA then do? How does he and what does the session do? Like, what is it?
So the BPSO is the one who gets notified of all deactivations, and it is becoming a standard now. If a club becomes deactivated, at the beginning of, say, the spring semester, they cannot get reactivated during that same semester. They have to wait another semester. Because obviously they became deactivated for a reason. So if somebody wants to put in the initiative to reactivate it the next following fall, they can absolutely do that. But it would be the BPSO's job to bring up that group, especially if it's a community association board or a representative board or a sports club, which have most of our funding, to go to the BPFA and let them know. And then.
Yep, and then this is actually something that's voted on through BBC, so this is part of BBC's portion of the government. And then if BBC did vote to return those funds and allocate it would then be presented to the Senate, but see what this handle.
Right. So just to be clear, BPSO informs the yeah, and that the BPFA present the EBC vote on. Great, and then I assume the BPFA just reports that decision to the Senate. Yep. Any other questions from the speaker? Representative Vote.
You mentioned in the motion, an appeal process. Do you have a timeline in mind of like how long a club has to appeal a decision and like how long you have to wait for waiting properly or like?
Prior to like all of these, like the SO to FA to EBC, the club is gonna be like notified that like so all those periods up until the date they'll be able to like EBC or the government to do that said petition. There's no normal like how long they have, but they're gonna be notified throughout every portion of the process. So. If
Any other questions from speakers? Steve, none, what's in these work?
It is.
I say or something.
501 off.
There's a recommendation.
That, yeah.
Hearing a second, if that's the pleasure of the Senate, that's adopted. Any discussion? Any debate?
During that, because like club deactivation is a pretty significant thing, as well as having money that was allocated being returned back to the unallocated, it's a pretty major thing. But let's say, would like to propose a week to 2 week sort of timeline, or having this sort of process happening from like club deactivation when it's to like the end of it having these funds being returned back to, because I think beneficial for us actually having these like standard timeline, rather than sort of risking that some money is more tried than others. That's my sort of perspective.
For the same reason as the last one, I think this is overcomplicated again, and I really do trust our executives to be able to make that decision, because not only that, but it would also not allow them to take into consideration the situation. So if the SO and the FA were in a situation where they knew a club that was falling out of recognition was likely gonna come back, they wouldn't even have to do the moving of the money, right? Otherwise, if you had given them the week to week, they would have to start it and it would have to follow that. I think there's a lot of power and discretion in things like this. And again, it all would be reported on to the Senate, so it's not like it could happen under the radar. Right, it would be reported in one or both of your reports, so, I would not overcomplicate this, I think that this policy is.
Vice President Levesque.
So legit, like legally, the BPSO, when notified by CSI that a club is becoming deactivated under CSI, we have to report that. That's why I had 7 groups at the beginning of this semester, about 3 weeks in, that are no longer able to be reactivated until next semester. And it's part of like the legal priority of our like being in charge of these clubs, being in charge of funding of these clubs. So it would only be about 3 to 4 weeks in when that process is even done with their deactivation, because that means that they didn't fill out a reactivation form for their club for 2 semesters. So if we start to have this maybe by semester 1, they're starting to fall off the boats a little bit, it's getting a little rocky, we can maybe mention that this is something that might happen hypothetically, but then by the time that happens, it could be 4 or 5 weeks in. It wasn't until about midway through the semester that that clubs were going. Because that was only when they didn't submit their after extensions. So the set timeline, I don't think would benefit any of the processes, simply for the fact that the clubs sometimes don't always work on the base timeline, especially finding out if they're not coming back.
That starts.
I personally think that the resolution is fine as is, but if people are concerned about the whole discretion thing, then adding an amendment, they have to report it to Senate instead of just assuming that they will, kind of how President Tripp has to report all of his executive budget spending. So adding something like that into it, so the senators like know, and then they can take action afterwards if they think it is unreasonable. Something like that.
Awesome.
I believe this would have to be reported by the BPFA because it's returned to unallocated.
Correct. That's true, so they're already in the mechanism.
Any other? Policy. We were in points for giving, right? Great, any other points for doing? Seeing none, all those in favor? All opposed? All abstaining? Seeing a clear majority, that passes. New business, you can see nothing from me, motions, executive order, executive session. Special orders and announcements, any member of UMSG Inc. may address the GSS for not more than 5 minutes. Senator Dillon.
This is your last chance to make it to our Yamas outing. If anybody needs a ride, I have 4 seats open in my car.
Any other special orders and announcements? Seeing none, I guess I'll just kind of farewell, thank you, even though I did that inauguration. I just want to remind all of the senators that this session of Senate is not ending with the spring semester, that ends on a calendar year basis. So please take the rest of summer to depressurize, to focus on yourselves and focus on furthering your futures and be ready to come back to the fall semester as rejuvenated senators, rejuvenated student leaders, and most importantly, rejuvenated students, because you can't be a student leader unless you're succeeding in your spheres. I do hope that the summer is rejuvenating for all of you and that it truly inspires you to really embrace being the board of directors of a nonprofit association. I do hope that even with the new exec team, with the same president, but with a lot of other new team members joining you, that you really embrace this being kind of the brain of the operation and just really doubling down on courses that you've helped discover in the past year to better your community. I think this year has been great. This is the biggest Senate I've ever seen. I know Senator Fink took a little dig in my Polypro stuff earlier, but it was a small Senate. But seeing how much that has grown and perspectives here has been incredible. And it's made me very, very happy that I was selected vice president. It's been a pleasure to chair the portfolio. And I do hope that you give Vice President Commandant the same joy that you do. Any other questions?
I'd like to say for the record, especially if it's Vice President Peterson's last time chairing Senate, that was not a dig at you. That was more like oh, look how far we've come. Polypro Chair President Peterson is now Vice President Peterson. That was not a dig at you. But while I'm speaking, I do want to thank you from the Senate for great job sharing. I joined Senate with the Vice President Tripp, so I think everyone knows what Cleveland Trip is like and how fun he is to be around. So the fact that you managed to bring a whole nother level of personality to Senate, as well as your gaveling on the wall sometimes, I just want to thank you for your sharing.
Yeah, Kyle Ricker has been here with me the whole time. Dylan's been here 3 years. Who are some of the other longest lasting faces? Dylan's position. Cass Belly has been very passionate all 4 years. John Guzman came in like a frickin' wrecking ball. And just seeing everybody really join in and represent the Black Bear community and really build off of each other's work, it's great and I think so. President Tripp.
That being said, now looking for the future, I'm very excited to be president again next year. We have a big summer, and things can kind of, I guess I want to preface this by, I really want student government to cross your mind as little as possible this summer. But if it does, and you need anything or want anything, or even just to discuss, I'm gonna have a pretty boring summer here in Orono, and I'd be happy to have any ideas. I got 1 year left and I don't have a lot of weeks when it starts, so I want to hit the ground running. So if you have any ideas of how we can do that, please let me know. And for those of you who are not coming back, I hope this is the last time until, I don't know, homecoming, you think about student government, and don't be a stranger, so.
Any other special orders and announcements? Right.
I love to hear it. But thank you all for your hard work, representatives, and the boards, thank you all for your dedication to your groups. I know how hard that job is, and I just wanted to show you all that you are in my eyes. I also am going to throw in that I have yet to send it to Vice President Peterson, but I have finished a full land acknowledgement. It's still kind of a mix, but. And also just. Enjoy your finals week as much as you can, because I know we all have tests and things, and throw stuff. Take the time to be with everybody and then head off with your summer.
Thank you. Any other special orders and announcements? Senator Bowman.
Let's just keep it said, don't think about UMSG over there this summer. There's a lot of people here, there's a lot of passion, and there's a lot of projects to be done next year. With a much bigger budget than we have this year, and we should really get through it because we're in nonprofit. But I would like everybody, if you do end up thinking about it, just come up with ideas, come to Senate prepared to, again, hit the ground running and make it a year even better than the year we had this year.
I hope the future senators will be exact like. You can do it now. Well, assuming nothing gets forward.
Thanks, yeah.
Any other special orders and announcements? Seeing none, if it's the pleasure of the Senate, the clerk will call the final.
Kyle Ricker. Ray Vanderwood. Yes. Cynthia Shelmerdine. Here. Ezekiel DeLore.
Here.
Ryan Sanborn.
Here.
Nathan Lang.
Here.
Jordan Thompson. Maggie Johnson. Here. Casper Coward.
Oh, here.
Jim Brown.
Here.
Joshua Bone.
Here.
Juliana Miller. Here. Isabella Lemon. Here. Taylor Kearns. Here. Matthew Bugger.
Here.
Sky Van Heat.
Excuse.
Dustin Harvey.
Excuse.
Brendan Stewart. Here. Peyton Warren.
Here.
Phil Minshew.
Excuse.
Karen Martone.
Also excuse.
Zachary Sillog.
Here.
Steve Friday.
Here.
Jason Sparks. Here. Alan Bella. Here. Taylor Stanford.
Excuse.
Jeremy Collmore.
Excuse.
Keegan Tripp.
Here.
Kevin Peterson.
Here.
Oliver Waugh.
Here.
Dylan Lehman. Amanda Levette. Here. Elizabeth Oldfield.
Here.
Abby Downer. Here. Zoe Stankovic. Here. Riley Mills.
Here.
Dylan Merchant.
Here.
Allison Wyatt. Jonah Harper. Lauren Depot. Zachary Wentworth.
Excuse.
Kevin Guzman.
Here.
Cass Bailey. Here. Hannah Dunningbad. Jenny Janonko.
Here.
And Lori Sabota.
Excuse. Senator Devon. Motion to adjourn. Second. A second, if that's the pleasure of the Senate. As they say in Arizona, it's never goodbye, it's only sure. No.